Well, welcome back. I guess that was a shitty way to open, wasn't it? It's not welcome back. This is the first time you've ever met these guys. This is David Hight. Genesis Ag, this is David Hight. David's from North Carolina. It says here you're from the mountains of North Carolina, and I was told that that's incorrect.
That is incorrect. I am from the northern Piedmont of North Carolina, right on the North Carolina-Virginia border.
And whereabouts, what county would that be in? And describe some of it for me.
It's in Warren County, little town called Macon. That's where I was born and raised. We're got some hills and very rural. I think it's 6 or 7 stoplights in the whole county, so we don't have any traffic. County's got about 19,000 people in it. So,
and how big an area are we talking for these 19,000?
Gosh, I forgot how. I can't remember how many acres his name is. It's a pretty large county, but very, very rural.
So the density is pretty low for the people.
Yes.
And predominantly farmland, or is it mostly wooded? Or
farmland and timber. Timber is a big industry in our county, so it is quite a few timber harvesters and timber in our county, but farmland is there in certain pockets.
Gotcha. And I guess I was amiss too. I should have introduced Josh Davis.
That's me.
Everybody knows Josh though.
I'm from the mountains of North Carolina.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. If we're going to start a fight between you guys if David starts describing the mountains.
I can roll downhill fast enough. I'll have momentum and be okay.
There you go. Well, one of the cool things that you do, David, is you grow crops that aren't exactly common. I mean, that tobacco deal that I can't think of anybody else hardly that grows tobacco, and I got to think that that's pretty unique.
Yes. We living in North Carolina, we are the largest tobacco producing state in the country, and my family has always farmed tobacco on the farm that we're on, and it is the reason that I'm farming today. We can't make it on corn and beans in our area. Field size, deer pressure. I mean, just so many things that I couldn't make a comfortable living just beans and corn. People are making a living with beans and corn, but they have livestock in their farming operation, and that helps. But we are a diversified operation. Along with tobacco, we raise peppers and sweet potatoes, corn, beans, and wheat. So we're pretty diversified, and that's one reason, or a reason why we, I think we've been successful over the last, since I come back to the farm, which was in 2006.
2006. And the family's been there, the farm's been there.
So, my great-granddaddy bought the farm in 1912. We're on the same farm, so I'm 4th generation. And my dad farmed, Papa farmed, and it's just being passed down. Hopefully, I've got a 6-year-old son. Hopefully, we're setting him up so he'll have somewhere to farm.
And has it always been such a diverse crop?
So, the story goes, Papa used to say all the time that his daddy would carry vegetables and stuff to Warrenton, which is the county seat, to be sold during the year. So they would raise vegetables and carry them to town. So it was that. Back then they planted cotton and tobacco, and of course corn was to feed the livestock. So we do have livestock on the farm, beef cattle, but that's kind of where it started.
And do you guys market anything direct with peppers and stuff like that? That sounds like it's something that.
Well, we don't market direct. We have companies that we grow for. We raise sweet potatoes for Nash Produce, and we raise peppers for Bailey Farms.
Okay. So when people drive by Hight Farms, what do they see?
It ain't many people that drive by Hight Farms. We're on a dead end road. When you come down to the dead end, either you got business with us or you don't have no business down there. But when people show up at our farm, I mean, it is, you know, we're just a farm, farm equipment. I mean, it's a lot going on around there. Tobacco greenhouses, tobacco barns. It's different than a Midwest farm. A lot of infrastructure for these specialty crops and different stuff. A lot of specialized equipment that's dealing directly with these crops. We also have combines and planters and different stuff like that too. So, but it's a lot of specialized equipment there also.
So for the guys who haven't grown up in that area around that stuff, what's some of the stuff that would be different? How would you describe it?
So we have tobacco harvesters that we've got 3 different types. You've got the automatic tobacco harvester that one person drives and pulls the leaves off the stalk of tobacco. We have a ride-on machine where 4 people sit on seats and they actually harvest the tobacco by hand, and it's put on a belt and it goes into a dump box. And then we have a tobacco stripper that is the last pass across the field, and it strips all the tobacco leaves off and leaves the stalk in the field. So, and then from there, that tobacco is put in a trailer it has a live bottom, which is a belt. And when it comes to the farming operation, there's another set of belts and what we call a leaf loading system, and it spreads the tobacco in metal boxes that then go to the curing barn. We spread the same amount of tobacco in a metal box, and then it's put rods through it to hold the tobacco in, and then it's stuck into a barn, and that's where it's cured.
Did I hear that right? That you harvest the same plant 3 times?
Yes.
That's
could be possibly 4, just depending on what's happening.
That's a little different than the standard Midwest
absolutely. Tobacco harvest for us starts normally around the 4th of July, and it lasts into the middle of October. So with a tobacco plant, the bottom leaves start ripening first, and what it is it's nitrogen is going out of the plant at that time, and then they start maturing out, yellowing, and then we start harvesting that, and then you take that cut off, and then you come back in maybe 2 weeks, and you take another cut off, and then it goes up, keeps going to the top of the plant, and then that's what you're selling. Unlike corn, beans, wheat, you're not selling a seed; you're actually selling a leaf, the dry matter leaf. We don't want to see seeds in our field with tobacco. That means we haven't done a good job of topping. Topping is taking the reproductive part of the plant out, the top, that where it makes the flower, makes the seed. So we have to hand top every plant. That all this is very labor intensive.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
When you do it by hand, I mean, you just cutting it off with a knife.
Well, we do have snips to cut them off, or you can break them off with just snapping, break the top out.
So you just walk down the row and just snapping necks.
Yeah, that's good work. About 4th of July when it's 100 degrees outside, it feels like it's 120. Yeah.
How tall does a tobacco plant get when you're doing that, or is it shoulder high?
So that's kind of how we want it, between about chest high. But they could be a whole lot higher than that, but we don't want it that high. I mean, because if you have too many leaves on the stalk, they don't mature out and fill out like they ought to.
The quality goes down.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So do you put like growth regulators on there to help stunt that back, or is it just all fertility managed?
No, it's got a lot to do with fertility. We have used Genesis products to help that situation, to get more leaf count.
Like what?
Like EXP.
Okay.
We've used that at lay-by, which lay-by means that's the last time we go across it before it gets too tall where we can't, like plowing and fertilizing and stuff. We have and this is tobacco is not no-till, so it's cultivation. It's put on a ridged row and planted from seedlings from a greenhouse.
Okay.
So it's not seed. I mean, we have to seed the greenhouse, raise the plants in the greenhouse, and then transplant them out into the field. So, but we use the product EXP to help with getting the number of leaves on or helping that growth stage So after lay-by, tobacco takes off, like it's rapid growth because it's coming to want to put a top in to put reproductive in, but that's not what we want. We want leaves. So we do want a certain amount of leaves, which is roughly between 20 and 24 per plant. So and we've used EXP to help us with that.
I'm kind of dumb on tobacco. I assume most guys are. When you transplant those, you said you have to have them on a hill. Are they very sensitive to water? Or?
Yes, absolutely. They do not like wet feet. Tobacco, it wants to be in well-drained soils, sandier based soils are better for tobacco. It does not like to have a lot of water around it. Needs water. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we have to irrigate sometimes and different stuff, but it does not like to be wet.
How much water would you say it uses compared to a cotton or a corn?
I would say it's probably comparable to cotton, but corn needs a bunch of water when it needs it. But and tobacco needs water, but when it's making that top and it's going in that rapid growth stage, it needs the water. If it doesn't, the plant could be shorter. It could have a certain, like, it could have the number of leaves on it, but it'd be shorter jointed, which makes harvestability tough because it elongated and got tall where we can get machines in there to do that. But we do heel tobacco. It's called lay-by most of the time, but we lay it by, we put it up on a ridge so the water drains off of it. And I mean, we fertilize tobacco when we plow tobacco. We fertilize tobacco, put fertilizer down and nitrogen and different stuff throughout the year.
How's its fertility requirements compared to cotton and corn and stuff that we kind of know?
Tobacco does not need as much nitrogen as corn or beans or anything like that. I mean, we're talking about roughly about 80 pounds to the acre compared to what people do on corn and and cotton. Cotton is about the same, I guess. Cotton's about 70 to 80 pounds. So tobacco needs a lot of potassium. That's what makes a good leaf structure, along with calcium. Calcium's hard to get in the plant, especially when that rapid growth stage. But calcium, a little phosphorus, to start off, good root development, stuff like that. But yeah.
And what kind of soils are you guys dealing with? I know you said sandy, it likes sandy soil, but what's your base fertility kind of look like? I mean, what challenges are you fighting?
Well, a big challenge for us in our part of the world is we could have 4 or 5 different soil types in the same field. It's a lot of, you have a lot of red clays.
Because this would all be kind of bottom ground normally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you could have where over the years erosion has got a red gall on side the hill or something like that, because we do have slopes and so but it's some farms are sandy. I mean, it changes as you ride through the county. It's different. Southern part of the county is more clay red based. You go to the northwestern side of the county, it's more of a sandy base.
Which one's better?
I like both. So the sandier based soil, the tobacco ripens faster. I can get it in. A clay base, the fertility holds a little better. So that's kind of tobacco that's later in the season. It kind of helps us
Spread out your labor a little bit.
spread out our
Harvest needs.
and things. But sometimes the most of the time, the heavier tobacco is going to be on the heavier soil.
And when you say heavier tobacco, you mean the better?
I'm talking about like, so we sell it by the pound.
Okay.
So, that heavier soil makes the heavier tobacco because the nutrients stick around a little longer.
Okay.
But we can still make the same. I mean, we can still do the same thing in a sandier soil. We just have to use more fertility.
Okay.
Or
more often.
More. Yeah. It's just you got to know, like, it's not just spread. Just take the spreader truck and spread fertilizer.
Don't spread it and forget it.
Yeah, you have to actually be in the crop and you have to walk up and down the row and see what's going on, and kind of it's like an art, I guess. So of raising a tobacco crop, it's what you've been taught for years, and just how things react and different things. So yeah, it's you just have to know your land, I guess. It's the biggest thing.
And I guess there's got to be guys out there who specialize in tobacco. Just because I've never been around them, don't mean they don't exist. But crop consultants got to exist for that.
Yeah, we've got a crop consultant that comes every week. And he hands me a report. Every week he rides every field. So yeah, and we talk about it. Talk about what it looks like. The reason I like it is I can, like, I'm there in it 7 days a week. He comes once a week. He can see the change.
Right.
He can see it before I can, really, because he saw what he saw last week, and then he saw this week, and he's like, David, this tobacco right here is looking better, or it might be looking worse. I mean, and we try to get on top of that, and so that's really important to us, of trying to manage that.
It's when your kids are growing, you don't notice it, but you take them to grandma's house and, oh my God, you've grown.
Absolutely. That's it. Mm-hmm.
And Josh, I know you grew up in North Carolina, but you didn't have nothing to do with tobacco, right? I mean, that was a different world.
I think we did 1 or 2 years when I was a kid.
Okay, but
I was a wee lad, and actually one of David's mentors, I'm saying that jokingly, let my dad borrow a no-till planter, which we planted on ridges. And I remember riding it. It'd be pitched one way, and we'd come back down the field. It'd be pitched the other way, and I was probably 6 or 7 when that happened. And little hands, you had to keep up so you didn't miss a plant. But yeah, I've been around it, and then got to know David pretty well the last several years, and been in his fields, trying a few times a year. But when you're trying to cover
the whole country,
as much as what we're trying to cover, it's not always a guarantee. But like he said, every time I go, I see something different. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was 4 years ago, I was like, hey, let's try some iron on this.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of brought something to the forefront. I think we might have saw a couple things this year that could be on the table for 26. So you're always learning something.
Yes, always.
Well, what's some of those things that you have learned? What's some of the things you learned don't work?
Well, when David says you can drive through a mud hole, don't do it.
He might be lying.
Well, we had a little differential issue in my car, and we ended up about 2.5 feet deep in a mud hole one day. But yeah,
we got out.
We did get out. We figured out in a GMC, you've got to push the differential button to get all the tires to spin, and we got out.
We got out.
I went from having a white car to a red car, but hey.
Now it's a pink car, never going to wash off.
It's somewhere in a different state, so that's gone now.
I bet the underside was really red.
Ooh, I bet it still was.
But some of the things we've learned is using the Mophie product, the molybdenum and iron product that Fulcrum sells. We put all this fertility on this plant, early in life. in its life, because that's when we can get over it. Sometimes it doesn't need all that nitrogen, and I think Josh was seeing that when he pulled up on the farm, and the plant didn't have the pop that it needed. It just didn't look like it. It looked tired, like it was full of nitrate. We sprayed some Mophie on that plant, and it really responded well to those. I think calcium is a part that that we're going to try to work on in 26. We're seeing good things of spreading gypsum prior to bedding to get some more calcium. One of the problems with tobacco is during that rapid growth stage, the calcium can't get in the plant, and you can actually see the effects by leaves not elongating and different things during when it's really growing and really taking off. So we're trying to correct those. We're thinking about maybe putting some transplant water, trying to fix that problem.
What's a couple of things that didn't work other than the mud hole thing, just from an agronomy standpoint, not a Josh can't drive standpoint?
I don't know of anything that Josh and Philip have told me that hadn't worked.
It doesn't even have to be Genesis products.
What doesn't work? Not being timely. Time is key. Timing to any crop, but timing to a tobacco crop is really key. Like if you're if that bloom and that top and that flower part stays in that plant too long, every day it's taking yield because it's using nutrients to try to make a seed when you want to make a leaf. So it's using those nutrients for something else. That doesn't work. I don't know.
I would say having healthy plants going to the field out of the greenhouse is one of the hands down biggest things in tobacco. And people, I shouldn't say neglect it, but they think they look okay without checking that they're okay. And if you take an unhealthy plant to the field, you're going to have to fight that all year.
Mm-hmm. So what's some keys to making sure you're leaving the greenhouse with the best chance for success?
Always making sure you have white roots. That's something Lynn taught me years ago, is make sure you have white roots. When you start getting brown roots, you've got a list of variables that can cause that, but making sure you have white roots, and then typically you're going to have a healthier plant.
And Josh referred to Lynn. Lynn Howard was my Genesis salesman.
Lynn has the coolest voice I've ever heard anybody. The dude has the deepest voice. He make James Earl Jones jealous.
So, but we started years ago in the greenhouse in the float bed system. So this tray of plants float in water. That's how they're raised. So it's a float bed system, but we're using products in the water: Videnterra, Carbos, Century, Immerse, Silicate. Lynn had come up with a cocktail to put in the float bed water, and ever since that day, we've never had to spray any type of fungicide or do anything far as disease is concerned in the greenhouse, and that's been 10 years ago. So it's really helped. If you have to treat a bed for a certain disease or something, it takes a while for those plants to come back to be able to go in the field. So that timing and different things. But no, we've had really good success with getting really good greenhouse plants, and I think that's one of our successes as a farming operation, is making sure we're going with good plants to the field and making sure they're healthy when they start.
What's some of the rotational stuff with tobacco? I mean, you can't just grow tobacco on that field.
No, the longer the rotation with tobacco, the better off you are.
Okay.
So we plant tobacco in a field, and we'll plant tobacco 3 years later. So we plant wheat behind the tobacco in the fall.
Okay. Because the tobacco's out of the field by
October.
Okay.
Yeah. Tobacco, middle October, tobacco's out of the field. So
and you just no-till the wheat, or do you got to farm it flat to
no,
get all
we're gonna disc it down, flatten it out, because the next 2 years will be no-till.
Okay.
And that's kind of conservation plan that we have with NRCS. So what it is, you plant tobacco, and then you plant wheat, then you no-till soybeans in after you get the wheat off in June. And so you have soybeans that year, and then we come back with either beans or corn the following year. That's no-till. And then we go back in with a tillage and tobacco the next year. So trying to reduce erosion. I mean, by not tilling it every year. But we're kind of different when you talk about like no-till and regenerative and different stuff. Like, we do have land that's completely no-till, but the majority of our land has been tilled within the last 3 years because tobacco is not going to do well in a no-till situation. So we have when we talk about biology and different things, we kind of have a little disadvantage in that aspect, because we are tilling every 3rd year. We're back in it, tilling it again. So that's a little different than other farmers having the option to be completely 100% no-till. Along with peppers and sweet potatoes, we're the same way on that. I mean, we
got to farm ahead.
We raise peppers on plastic, so we bed land and lay plastic down, and then sweet potatoes are raised very similar to tobacco. As the land is bedded up, we take a transplanter and transplant slips out. So, and they're plowed too.
So the same deal. If it's peppers or any of that other stuff, it's still back to wheat, back to beans.
Back to wheat, back to beans. Yeah, yes, yeah. It's not. Yeah, we continue with crop rotation.
So then when you do that, it's not going to be tobacco every 3rd year. It's just going to be one of those 3 every 3rd year.
No, well, so sweet potatoes and peppers are not near acreage that we have on tobacco. So, we pick and choose where we put those, that it doesn't mess up our tobacco rotation.
That's king.
Tobacco's king on our farm. I mean, everything is revolving around the tobacco acreage and how we're going to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So percentage-wise on your farm, how many acres are in tobacco?
Well,
it would be 15%.
Percentage-wise, acreage is probably going to be closer to 30%.
30, okay.
But as far as economic part of it,
much more.
We're probably looking at closer to 75%.
Wow.
Well, Genesis Ag is huge on our farming operation. I mean, ever since the first day Lynn Howard pulled up on the farm, I mean, it's been there, and I mean, it's a staple in our year in whatever crop we're in. It doesn't matter what crop we raise.
And were you working with Lynn before he found Genesis, or vice versa?
No.
Okay, so he came to you.
He came to me in recommendation from another farmer.
Okay.
That he was seeing. He said, "Well, you ought to go up there and see David and his family," and he did. I didn't know Lynn, so
okay.
That was a shock when he got out of the truck talking like you were just talking about, and Lynn. But,
oh yeah.
Your ox was in a ditch and he got it out.
Yeah, yep. So, and it was. I mean, he showed up on the farm, and we were planting tobacco. So it was early season. I was probably early May.
How old were you?
It's 10 years ago.
10 years. Yeah. It was 11 years now. It was 2014. So, be 12 years April. Or May. We were on the farm. He showed up.
Uninvited, or did you call him? And
No, I mean, I think he called me. Like
Okay.
he got the number from another farmer, a friend of mine, and he called me. He said, he gave the whole spiel and everything. And I said, yeah, come on by. I thought this is another salesman. Really?
right,
I mean,
ready to dismiss him in a hurry.
yeah. And then we got to talking and everything, and he says, I can help you, if you have a problem. And I'm like, okay. I said, well, get in the truck.
I'll
So
show
I
you
said,
some
"Come on,
problems.
let me show you the problem." And I think it probably goes back to some type of divine situation, because I didn't know what I was going to do with this tobacco, but it had just been set. And the problem with it is I had got in a hurry, and we used to use a product called Telon C17, which is a gas that we used to put down, and it would gas the whole bed of the tobacco bed. And, we thought we were killing, the bad stuff. But what we were actually doing is killing everything, just knocking everything out.
Trying to get rid of disease pressure.
Disease pressure, yes. Disease pressure, insects, everything. So we went over there, and it was wet that spring, and this gas will get locked up in wetter type soils. We went to the field, and this gas had locked up in some of these wetter spots in the soil, and it was killing the plants. I mean, they were flopping. The gas was working on them. It was burning the roots off. I mean, it just couldn't live. And Lynn said, I can help you. I'm like, okay. So we went back to the farm. He got all these jugs out of his truck, and he said, I'll tell you what you do. You go over there and you give me 3 days. He said, you go spray it this afternoon when I leave, and you give me 3 days, and we're going to have that tobacco back going. And that's how my Genesis ag started, was that. Because he did save the tobacco. I mean, now I'm not saying we saved 100%, but you could tell.
You could see where it was going.
You could see within 24 hours. He said 3 days. You could see it in 24 hours that this was turning itself back around. So that's how my Genesis Ag journey started. And then we started using it. And I was like, man, if this will do it to a sick plant, if this stuff will work on a sick plant like this, what's it going to do to a healthier plant? Like, why? I mean, like, why wouldn't you want to put this on a healthier plant if it'll help a sick plant? Well, what could I do with it if I had it on a healthy plant? So we started, and I mean, we worked with it that year and the following year, and then started using it in my corn program, my bean program, and we've just, I mean, it's in every crop we raise. We've got Genesis products in every crop we raise. So we've ended up cutting fertility back.
On everything, or some more than others?
More so on the grain crops than tobacco crop and stuff. But we are soybeans, corn, and wheat. We've cut fertility back. These specialty crops. They are the lifeline of the farm. So we have to. They're just high demand crops, and when they demand, they just demand. And so we haven't experienced much of fertility reduction in those, but corn, beans, and wheat, we've really cut our nitrogen, especially back in corn and wheat.
When Lynn came on board, and you were asking the question, why wouldn't I want to do this on all the plants to make a healthy plant?
Yeah.
What was Lynn's answer to that? I want to hear.
Man, he said, he says, everybody always calls me when their ox is in the ditch. I said, yeah. I said, but he's like, man, we're gonna make so much tobacco, this, and this. I mean, he was just talking about how much tobacco we could possibly make, with this, and we've done it. I mean, one of the big things that I think has really changed my tobacco crop is how we're not relying on the chemical gas anymore. We've done away with that.
So what are you replacing that with the Talon to kill everything? How are you addressing it?
We're not doing it. We're using Revita N. We're using Instago. We're using Carbos. We're using all these things in our transplant water. We're not using the chemical stuff anymore. And we have gone to soils that don't have that many diseases in it. Like we've changed the soil where fields that used to have disease in it don't have disease in it anymore, and that's unheard of. So that's what we're doing with that. And we didn't start with that in 2014 because we were already transplanting. So we had to start with that, come around in 2015. But we really changed how we were putting the gas down, and then we were also using a fungicide in the transplant water.
Okay.
And I mean, these guys have taught me how that was negatively affecting what that plant could possibly do, because we were sticking a transplant that was in a controlled environment that had everything it needed, and then we stuck him over into some fertilizer and a fungicide in some land that we have killed every type of biology and every type of thing in it, and it had to start over again. What we're trying to do is with our land is build that biology, because even those years that we don't have tobacco, we're going to use Revita N on the corn. We're going to use Rhizinate with the beans, and maybe even use Revita N with the beans too. But we're using these biology and continue to feed it with carbos throughout the years that we are not have these high value tobacco crop on there. So that's how I think we have done away with the majority of our disease on our operation, is because we continue to use that and continue to build on what we started 10 years ago.
So not all biology is bad biology.
No.
I mean, so by killing it all with the Talon.
Yeah. With the Talon, we killed everything in the soil. Everything. I mean, nothing could stand it. You couldn't stand to be out there with it. I mean, we had to wear a face mask and respirators and stuff to apply it, because it's terrible stuff. I hated using it. I absolutely hated using it. If I could ever, I told myself years ago, if I could ever figure out how never to use it again, I would. And we haven't used it in years. I've actually went back and tried it, like a few years ago. We tried it again, and we couldn't. It didn't do anything for us. It was. I actually tried it because I had picked up the land. It was new land to me, and I used some of it, and we couldn't see the benefit in using it, because we did kill off everything. It wasn't. It's like $200 or $300 an acre.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, you're talking about a huge expense and just doing away with that. So, but yeah.
So, Josh, this may be a question for you. When these guys go in there and farm it all up to get ready for these high-value crops, how does that affect the biology that they've worked the last couple of years trying to build?
As far as the process going into it, like David's talking about, he's continuing to try to build in the off-season from the high-value crops. We don't want to lose money, but we're trying to set ourselves up for that third year, whether it be tobacco or peppers. And a lot of times that's just a cover crop for guys. It's, well, let's get to that third year. We don't care about what's in between. And why are we not trying to set that next crop up? Because I think David's goal and most people's goal would be, okay, I grew this number of pounds this year. In 3 years, I want to grow more pounds.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't set yourself up, you're going to go the same number of pounds again.
Mm-hmm.
So I've admired David for what he's doing, and every field's different. Every field's going to yield, every row yield's different. But we're trying to set ourselves up for an incremental gain, and you look at having something with a value of dollars per pounds, even if you only increase 30 pounds a year on average, that's a lot of money.
Yep.
And that's what his goal is. Yeah, we all want 300 or 400 more pound, but that's just not reality. But if we can continue to increase our return, that's where we're going to win.
Well, that's a great segue to the business talk of things. What decisions would you say affect your profitability the most, David, in your farm?
So when we talking about profitability and these high value crops, labor comes to mind.
Okay.
The labor situation. We use the H-2A visa program where we bring in guys from Mexico to help us with our crop. That is huge. But when we get away from that, profitability is cutting those
Unnecessary
expenses like the tell-on.
Gotcha.
Like that is where industry wanted us to go, was with that. They couldn't that's what the salesmen wanted. I mean that's you know what I'm saying. I mean that's if so we have to think differently. Like we just can't do the same thing over again and expect a different result. And that's what we were doing. I mean that they had us on a wheel, and that's what we were doing. And man, I'm so thankful that Lynn pulled up on my farm that day. I mean, I will forever be indebtedness to him and Josh and Philip for what they have brought to our farming operation, as far as how to think about things differently. I am one that I'm willing to try anything one time. I'll give you a chance, but it is and I'm not saying that you get it right every time you do it, but we've gotten this right. And so
would you say you were looking to make a change when Lynn pulled on the farm, or
I won't looking to make it a change, but I do think that and I think this is one thing that's probably sets our farming operation out from others, is that we adapt. Like we don't mind trying new things and adapting to different technologies and to doing different things differently than what we done the year before or what we done 10 years ago. It's constantly changing, and it's constantly changed with Philip and Josh. I mean, it's like they keep bringing new things to the table. Like, well, let's try this or let's do this, and I think having that open mind and having that is important in profitability and in farming today. I don't like if you think you're gonna farm like your dad did 20 years ago, that you're probably gonna go broke. I mean, it's just no way. It's just not sustainable.
Where do farmers lose money without knowing?
I think they lose a lot of money in their fertility program. I think they're putting on more than what they need. We've seen that. I think they also lose money in trying to do things that are or trying to meet yields that their soil probably can't handle.
Trying too hard.
My philosophy about that is let's set a budget. Let's try to stick with that budget. Now, I'm not out here trying to make 300 or 400 bushel corn in our area. I mean, I'm not saying we can't do it. I'm not saying I would not love to get there in the next 10 or 15 years. I'm not saying that. But I have to be realistic about what I'm doing. Like, I'm 10 days from a drought in the middle of the summer. I mean, with the soils we have. So I have to be realistic about how much money I'm going to put out there. And it's not about how much yield you make. It's about how much money you keep at the end of the year. That's where I think a lot of people have gotten off is the fact that they think higher yield means more money. And that's far from the truth. But you got to have a rate of return, that ROI, that rate of return, and what you do to your crop, and how it affects your crop, such as herbicide sprays or fungicide sprays, and how it affects the whole environment the crop is in. And just because a salesman comes by and recommends, we need to go do with this, you need to be the person deciding what goes on your crop, not someone else.
What's the hardest cost to control on your farm?
I would say, I would go back to labor again, because we're so labor intensive. I mean, we have 30 employees, so that's a huge, and they're all great people. I mean, I've been to Mexico. I have lived with them two weeks down there in Mexico before. I'm planning on going back. They're very dear to my family. I mean, they come from April to November and leave their families in Mexico and come over here and help us with a crop. Leave their babies, their kids, their 6 and 7 year old kids. I mean, they do that and come over here to help us. And not that they don't get. I mean, they get paid. I mean,
right.
it is a job and it is hard work, but
it's still a sacrifice.
Absolutely, it's a sacrifice, and they do it for our family. And
you got to love that.
Yes. They're just great people. So that's a cost hard for me to control, because the government sets how much we pay them.
Right.
So that it. So
and you got to have it.
And I got to have it. It's the only way we can do it. Like, I mean, we can't rely on the local workforce. When I was a kid, 30 years ago, absolutely, we had a local workforce that would help us, get the crop in and but farming has changed so much. When I was a kid, we were raising 50 or 60 acres of tobacco. You could live and you could do really whatever you really needed to do. 50 or 60 had a good life, but now we're raising 400 to 500 acres of tobacco, and that's how things have gone, and that's what we're doing. So it takes these people, and it takes experienced people. It takes. We have trained these people to do, and they're great people, and our farm would not be what it is without them.
Well, David, we've been talking a lot about money and financials and stuff like that. What's one decision that you've made that you're proud of, that you'd be willing to share with people? One financial decision, one thing that's changed your farm and your operation?
RTK.
A lot of people would joke about that, but I could see in your situation.
Yeah, RTK is huge. I mean, I was on the phone with a John Deere salesman this morning between flights, talking about getting another tractor set up for RTK. Yeah, it's huge. That's huge. Another thing I think that, we talk about RTK and stuff, but we also, as a farming operation, we don't have a lot of shiny paint. We kind of we make things work, and we do our own repairs on tractors and stuff, and we run some older equipment, and I don't have to have all that shiny paint sitting up under the shelter. Now, I'm not saying that we have not bought new stuff,
right,
but that's not something that
It's not a goal for every year.
No, it's not a goal. I'd rather put my money in land. That's kind of my philosophy about business and farming and stuff. Is I'd rather have the land payment than the equipment payment.
At least you're building towards something that's an appreciating asset.
Absolutely, and I'm running combines that are 30 years old, so it's. I mean,
Still
really,
working fine.
Absolutely. So I mean, that's kind of as far as long term health of my business and stuff. I just when you come into a downturn like we're talking about, like we're in now. I mean, I don't have to pay like. My money is spent in specialty equipment, not in that. And I think that was one thing. But RTK is important. I think another important financial decision we made was to start using Genesis products. I mean, we actually started. You actually started saving money when you talk about gas and fungicides and different stuff like that, and then talking about comparing to what a program is for a tobacco crop. I mean, you actually started saving money and increasing yields and not spending as much. So it's really paid off for us for that Lynn Howard pulled up on the farm.
That guidance thing took me back for a second. We were traveling as a family back in the Imperial Valley of California back in the early 90s, and they had tractors set up then with laser guidance. They'd set up lasers on the end of the row and guide, because the lettuce they were planting, it mattered on which side of the hill they planted on. If we were on the north side, it yielded better than if it was on the south side or in the center. And that blew my mind as a little kid. So I get it.
Yeah.
It's RTK is so ubiquitous nowadays, you kind of forget. But on your deal, I absolutely get it.
Yep. And they're having some research and stuff so some more mechanization in this crop. I mean, it's some research going on now down at university where they're trying to get more mechanization that will probably come back to this RTK and this guidance stuff and different stuff, satellites and stuff. So,
and hopeful.
Yes.
How far out you think?
I think some of it will be put in the field this summer.
Knock on wood, right?
Testing, yes.
You guys get some of that testing, or are you just going to be watching?
I don't know. I think we'll be watching right now. But yeah, I think some of that stuff will be coming here in the future.
Where that's one of your largest uncontrollable costs.
Absolutely.
Definitely be keeping an eye on it.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yes. It's going to be huge going forward, I think.
Josh, do you have any questions or any thoughts that we should talk about that's more tobacco specific?
If you got anything, go for it.
David, I mean, we've talked a lot about tobacco because that's interesting to me just because it's new and different. But maybe you have stuff you want to talk about that's not tobacco and specialty crops.
Well, I mean, we have talked a lot about tobacco, but, our rotational crops, corn and beans, I mean, we've really seen, big yield improvements since we've gone to on the Genesis program, and it's it's really helped us stay competitive and profitable in the corn and beans world at where we're in now. So
the people listening to this need to understand that you're in an environment that water is extremely limiting and light sandy soils, and there's a potential for a non-harvestable corn crop. Wheat will typically make something, and double crop beans, for the most part, will make something. But you're in a situation with variables that people might be concerned about. Your program sets you up to where it's not a crop failure unless it's a zero.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times people in certain situations, maybe not as dramatic as where you're at, still spend on a wish, not spend to say, okay, this crop is just not going to cut it. And I think that's something that you have set up over time, and you've done that on your own. Not, might integrate some of our products into it, but you're like, here are my wins. I might have this one loss occasionally.
Yes. Yeah, we're not all going to get wins. It will be some losses in there, but with we want to make money with every crop, but sometimes in our weather and in our environment that doesn't happen, especially with corn, because of like I said, we're 10 to 14 days away from a drought anytime during the summer. We have low organic matter soils, low CCs, so that that hurts us sometimes. But even though we have that certain number that we're going to spend on a crop, and then if we get in the crop and we see forecast and rain is coming or we're in a rainy pattern and it's getting ready to pollinate, we will ramp up inputs to that crop at that time. I think people, farmers have got to the thing where they try to push all this stuff out up front and get it all done, but we need to think about like how can we try to not, I don't want to say save, but try to put those dollars at the right place at the right time. If I get to the middle to the end of June and we've been extremely dry and the corn's trying to come in tassel and go to pollination, I can, if I save some of that money from the beginning and was going to put it there, I don't have to spend that money there. And that's kind of how we've done that. And we do this beans the same way. Try to foliar feed at the end. If we see we got that yield potential, let's go ahead and push. But if we're extremely dry and the crop doesn't look good, we don't have to use that. We don't have to put that, and we just go from there.
You ain't got all your money hanging out there on a hope.
That's exactly.
Strategic spending.
Yeah, that's it.
What's some advice you'd give a young farmer who's looking to make it in life and make a business out of this, make a career out of this?
Get involved. Relationships matter. Relationship with your suppliers, relationship with your companies that you sell your stuff to, relationships with your congressman, relationships with your landowners in the community. That's how, the reason that Lynn Howard stopped at my farm was because of the relationship I had with the guy that was an hour away from me. That type of stuff like that in this age, in this world, is just pays dividends because you're connected with those people, and if something works good for them, they'll tell they'll tell the salesman that guy right there would probably try that, or just be, relationships matter. And that's a big thing for me. I try to be connected and have good relationships and working relationships with.
You want to know how I know tobacco guys make too much money, Josh?
How's that?
He didn't say anything about a relationship with a banker.
This could be true.
So, and I guarantee you it was wrote down on that sheet of paper right there, but that is true. Your banker is huge. Those relationships are huge, absolutely.
Because nowadays it just costs so much, you can't operate out of pocket.
It's unbelievable. No. I mean, if I had enough money to operate my farm without the bank,
wouldn't need the bank.
I wouldn't do it.
Wouldn't be farming.
No, I wouldn't be farming. No, it's huge. I mean, that relationship is huge, and especially when you talk about, things like now. I mean, when prices are bad and different stuff, it's good to have that relationship where you're able to talk it through. I hope talk it out.
One of the things I like about farming is we get to see the life cycles, whether you're animal husbandry or crop production or whatever. We get to see the birth, life, death of so many things. Mm-hmm. What's something that you learned about life that surprised you, that you learned from farming?
Say that one more time again, Matt.
Sure. When you what's something you've learned about life from farming that surprised you that you would have not expected to have looked back and learned?
Well, so I think you know, one of the biggest things I've learned is when I was a kid, I had no idea that what we were doing to our farmland by spraying all those chemicals and applying all that fertilizer. I had no idea. I was never taught that, even going through college. But as I farmed and as I'm getting older, I'm finding that everything we do to that piece of dirt, to that soil, affects how my crop is going to be this year, along with next year, and in the years to follow. So I had no idea, when I started farming back, what's it been, 20 years now? Yeah, 20 years ago. So I had no idea that all that was working. What some of the things we were doing was working against us, I guess. And it really surprised me, and it really opened my eyes to what, of those negative effects. And we're trying to correct that, and with what we're doing now, and trying to fix those problems.
Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
My intentions are to still be farming. That's what my intentions do.
You'll have a 17-year-old at that time.
I will. And I'm hoping I'm setting him up where he can farm, and I think he has it in him. He absolutely loves it. So yeah, we'll be farming. We'll be using Genesis products, and we'll be I think it's an opportunity for farmers. If it didn't, I wouldn't be doing it. I think what we've got to learn is how to spend your money in the correct way, and I think thinking outside of the box and not doing status quo will end up getting you there.
What do you want people to say about David Hight and David Hight's farm when you're dead and gone? And
I want them to say that we had a positive impact on our community. I want it to be respected. I want to leave my son and my family in a better, in a better place. Financially, within the community, within the state, we were good stewards of the farm and the land and resources.
what's the best piece of advice you've ever received, David? Could be about farming, could be about life, could be about playing poker.
I do like to play poker. How'd you know?
Best piece of advice was don't play poker.
Yeah,
Not with David.
maybe. Well, I don't know about that. It was an older gentleman back years ago that farmed. He was a tobacco farmer, and he told me, he says, the decisions you make in the bad times won't break you, but the ones you make in the good times will. And that was years ago. He said, you everything's going good, and you go out and spend all this money, but it's going to turn around. And I think we need to think about that now in the downturn of the farming economy now. It's going to end up turning around. We don't know when yet, but it will end up turning around. And I have seen those cycles, and that that advice goes back to, don't get too ahead of yourself when things are going really good, because things can turn to be bad. Just try to be steady.
And that's why you're running a 30-year-old combine.
Exactly.
And took that lesson to heart.
Yes, absolutely. Well, yeah. Because I might not make a corn crop, so, when you talk about these machines, being $700,000-$800,000 machines, I can't afford to put my farming operation on the line for those types of decisions. So
just for a payment to John Deere case.
Absolutely. And I think all of them have got us they want to get us in this wheel where we just keep turning and turning and turning, and really what it's doing is making them money, and it's not making us money. And that's just that's our philosophy about how we're going to stay in business. And I'm trying to teach that to my kid. He wants to go buy a new combine.
Oh yeah, it's easy to want that new stuff.
Yeah, I want a new combine, Daddy. I was like, I know you do, but Daddy don't want that new combine payment. And they make it so easy now. It's so very easy to go down to the dealership and order a new combine and or a new tractor or anything like that. When the rubber hits the road in the fall and you got to write that check for that payment is when that's when it really comes home, and you got to really squeeze that out somehow. So, but yeah, that about that decision making, I think it's been kind of what I've kind of steered my farming operation by.
What's one thing you try to learn every year? Do you set a goal for what you're trying to learn, or is it always accidental?
Oh, no. Well, a lot of things accidental what we learn. But I try to learn something every year about crops and about how different products make them respond, about how different nutrients help this crop do this and that crop do that. And I try to learn everything, everything I can about crops. And it interests me, about how, the nutrient cycle works, and about how, that makes the crop grow and different things. So, but yeah, we try to learn something every year, and we try to leave out a little test plot here and there and do different things to see if it works. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So, yeah.
Well, David, we don't really have a very good lightning round set up for you today with goofy questions and stuff, but we'll just do a couple quickies, some easy ones.
All right.
So everybody's got a favorite piece of equipment. What's yours and what's its name? And tell me a little about it. What's its personality?
We call it the stripper.
Everybody loves a stripper.
How about that? so it's our tobacco stripper. It's what pulls. It's the last pass across the field. That's my favorite machine. Because when we get that in the field and we get to running that, we've made a crop of, hopefully we've made a crop of tobacco. It's coming to the end. It's payday. It's a long season. So that's my favorite piece of equipment. So it's made by a couple of farmers in Oxford, North Carolina. It's not like a John Deere or Case or anything. They're called Granville Equipment. They're in Granville County, Oxford, North Carolina, and they have probably kept tobacco, in business, because they've made all these mechanization improvements to tobacco harvesters, to leaf loaders, to sprayers, to all sorts of things. So, but that tobacco stripper is my favorite.
So your stripper, is she a cantankerous stripper, or is she pretty mellow? She work all the time?
She work all the time.
Man, that's all right. Early mornings or late nights?
Early mornings, man. I'm ready to get up, ready to go. I don't want to be working at night and all during the night. I'm ready to get up in the morning and sun come up, I'm ready to be up. So, yeah.
David Hight, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Josh, do you have any closing statements that you'd like to make mention of?
I'm good. I think David covered everything.
So everybody can, of course, get a hold of Genesis Ag, genesis.ag. Call the phone number that's underneath the doobly-doo, whatever. David, do you guys have a website? Do you do anything like that? Do you?
We do not have a website.
You just try to stay under the radar and just keep your head down, do your work?
Yes. Yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Rock on. Well, guys, thank you for your time.